Welcome back to Gifted with Three. For those who new joining in, hey, my name is Cherie. So today, what I'm actually gonna do, I'm gonna do a little story time. I want to talk about the first time that I actually went to jail, and it was so funny to me. So it may have been probably back in 2005, maybe. Now I had to be a little later than that because my middle daughter was born and she was born in 2007. So it had to be like in 2009 because she probably was about 2 years old. So I was actually leaving my mom's house maybe about 9 o'clock that night and I was headed home. So I get to going home probably about 3 minutes away from the house because our town is small. It didn't take no more than probably about 6 minutes or so, 6 to 8 minutes to get from her house to my house. So I probably was like 3 minutes away from the house or less because I was real close to my turn to turn on my street. So I get pulled over in front of the school. So it was the old junior high um school. So I get pulled over that way in front of the old school because now it's not a school, it's closed. So I get pulled over in front of the school. The officer, he actually walked to the car, got my drive license. He was like, "Ma'am, you know why I pulled you over?" And I was like, "No, I have no idea." He said, "Your tail light is actually out." So yeah, just keep in mind I had my two girls in the back seat. One was 2 and the other one, she was 6 because all of them 4 years apart. So he was like, "Your brake tail light is actually out." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So he asked me for my license and my insurance. So during that time I knew my license was suspended and I'm like, fuck, I'm finna go to jail tonight. So I'm just keeping my cool and laughing. Just keeping my cool and I'm like, man, I better get my mama on the phone. So I grabbed my cell phone while he walked it back. Um Walked it to his car to call my license and stuff in. And I'm like, man, I'm finna go to jail tonight. So I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, come and get I'm over here in front of the old junior high because I know they finna go in and tow my car. Come and get my car and come and get the girls for me." And she was like, "Oh, okay then." She was like, "I'll be over there in just a minute." Police, he walked back to the car. I think his last name was Langston or something, but I know he's no longer on the police force now. So he get back to the car and everything. He was like, "Ma'am, you know your license suspended." I was like, "Yes, sir. I surely do." And after he called ran my driver license, ran my tag and everything, he come back to bring my license. Now he noticed that I got 2 kids on the back seat. And he was like, he looked at my license and he was like, um, "Your last name lawyer, huh?" And he would ask me, "Was so and so my dad?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's my dad." And he said, "Oh man, I done messed up." And I'm like, "You done messed up?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "We Mason brothers and plus we're more." And I'm like, "So what are you gonna do?" He said, "I gotta still take you to jail because I done called your ran your license plates and ran your driver license now. And the tag," he said, "it's good, but your license suspended, so I'm gonna have to take you to jail." And another officer pulled up by then. The other officer get out the car. He walked up there. He was like, now this officer actually see the kids from the jump. He looked in the car like normal officer gonna do. Look through the whole car to see who up in the car before they even ask for license and registration and stuff. So he looked in the car. He was like, "Man, you pulled this woman over and she got kids." He said, "You didn't let her go and she got 2 kids in the back." And he was like, "Man." He was like, "No." He said, "So, he said, I gotta take her in." He said, "What you gotta take her in?" He said, "What you pulled her over for?" He said, "Brake light." He said, "All you had to do was warn her." He said, "You seen her before, with her tail light out?" He was like, "No." He said, "Why you just don't warn her? She got 2 kids on the back seat." He was like, "I just saw the kids." And then he said, on top of that, I done messed up big time because someone sold her dad. And he was like, and the other guy just looked and he was like, man, we Mason brothers and it's a lot of more other stuff. And I just looked, just waited for, he said, I can't even handcuff her. So the dude was like, no, you're going to have to handcuff her because you the one who actually stopped her. And you the one who going to take her in since you caused all this mess. So a third officer actually pulls up. And the first thing he noticed, it's the kids on the back seat too. And he was like, what you pulled over for? He said, because of brake light. He was like, oh, so the tail light. Yeah, one of them was actually out when she hit a brake and one of her tail lights was out. Her brake light was out. He said, man, you could have trailed her home. So 2 against 1. Both of them hollering. The other 2 officers like, man, you could have just let her go home. He said, so what's the problem? Was told her, man, I ran the license. I found out that they suspended. There go another one. He shook his head too. So he was like, I'm going to let y'all handle this and I'm going to leave. So by then, my mom pulled up. Because they asked me, they said, somebody coming to get your kids? I said, yeah, my mom going to come. But I was so thankful they actually let her pull off with my car. And they just took me to jail for suspended driver's license. So I was like, when I get out of this place, I'm going to get my license straightened up. And I didn't drive no more until I got my license fixed. But what was so funny to me, when I went to jail, they had another officer. He actually booked me. That guy that took me down to the station, he ended up leaving. He said it was he was finna go back on the do his little duty, and the other guy was telling him to book me in and everything, but he was like, "Now do it for me." So this officer, he asked me, "So what you get pulled over for?" I said, "My tail light, one of my brake light was out." He was like, and he didn't. This your first time getting a warning? I said, yeah. I said, actually, I think it got a shortening in it because it was actually working. And he was like, okay. He said, if it was me, I would have actually let you went home and just told you if I seen you again that I would have, brought you to jail. So I'm like, so this the third officer told me the same thing. And I was so pissed. Like at that point, like I'm in jail. Now I gotta get burned out. Now I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta get everything straight. But actually what I liked about the whole situation, once I went to court and one of the officers, he knew my mom. He was like a lieutenant or something. He knew my mom real well. So he actually got everything thrown out for me. So it ended up working out in my favor. He went in there, talked to the judge. He asked my mom, he said, did she get her license straightened out? And she was like, yeah, she got everything straightened out. He said, if I run in there, everything gonna be straightened out. We was like, yeah, we got them license. So he went to the back, talked to the judge. And it was a lesson learned for me. Because I spent the night in the damn jail. Man, it was so cold in there. It was real cold. And I said, I never go back. And I'm going to keep my word. Because I try to avoid a lot of stuff. I keep my license good. Anybody try to start a mess, I just look at them and keep going. Because that was a lesson learned for me. Man, you talking about, I went in by 9. I didn't leave till the next morning, maybe about 9 or 10, that my mom came and got me. And I said, I didn't eat anything. I didn't even sleep that night. It was so cold in there. They didn't bring me any cover or anything. So I guess they were trying to be like, you finna learn a lesson tonight. And I'm like, I never been in trouble before. Like, and then I didn't even know my license was, how my license actually got suspended. It's just weird to me because somebody else was using my car. And I didn't have insurance on it at the time. So they called themselves. I don't know how this happened though. But they called themselves suspending my driver's license because they said it still had tickets on the car. And I'm like, they're just crazy and strange. But hey, I guess Mississippi laws and the things about where I live at. Or whatever the deal is. But I learned the lesson. I never let nobody drive my car. And I make sure my license stay good. And I ain't trying to go back to that place. I had a rough time. It was cold. It was cold in there. The toilet went flush. It was so cold in there. It was like Eskimo weather. Like we was like below 5 or so, below 10 in that cell. And I didn't have any cover. And I was up there calling the people to tell them to bring me some cover. And they never brought me any cover. So I guess it was a lesson learned. Because that morning, when my mom was coming to get me, the guy she knew, they got everything throughout for me. He was like, I know you learned the lesson tonight. And he was like, I can't believe you in jail. Like, what you went to jail for? And I told him what had happened. He just shook his head. And he was like, that might know better. He should have just went on to let you went home, gave you a warning since you don't be in trouble or anything. Say, he didn't have to run your license because, you know, you don't be doing anything. He could have just let you went on home, follow you home, and let you and your girls, you know, be safe. Made sure y'all was safe and told you don't go back out until you got that tail light fixed. But hey, I learned my lesson and I'm going to continue on learning lessons. Stay the hell away out of jail and I ain't going back. Until next video, y'all, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.